Welcome everyone to class tonight. I'm really passionate about the subject of bigger bodies doing Pilates because when I first started, I wasn't really sure if I was going to be able to do any of the Pilates exercises based on some Google searching, because that's always the fun thing is to Google search everything. And I was really happy that I found River City Pilates and that my complimentary session was super inclusive and made me feel very empowered that even though I hadn't done any activity in probably 10 or more years, I had severe knee pain and severe back pain, that I would be able to do the exercises. So here I am now, a few years later, and I'm teaching and I'm feeling stronger and more flexible. And I actually weigh like a couple pounds heavier than when I first started. So if that tells you anything, you can definitely bring Pilates into your life at any stage and at any weight and any ability. So I'm super happy to have everyone here tonight, or those who are going to be doing the replay. So here's how I was thinking class tonight was going to go. I have a few categories, I'll call them, that I want to go over just so we sort of address all parts of the body. Really want us to try and figure out how to find work, but also stability in the different parts of our body. So what I'll do is that I'll say something like, okay, now we're going to try and figure out how to support ourselves in an upper ab curl. And then we're going to bring out some props, and then we're going to do some variations of the exercises. So we're just going to play around with a few of them and just know that you'll be able to incorporate everything tonight into your practice going forward. So really going to try and get you not only the fundamentals, but things that you can easily incorporate. Again, like blanket, wall, old pair of leggings or a TheraBand, all of these types of things, I think we all have readily available. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing that we're going to play around with is how to support ourselves in an upper ab curl. And the reason this one I think is really important, or it was important for me when I first started, is that I sat at a computer a lot and I just couldn't really lift myself up. So let's go ahead and play with how we can figure out ways to support our upper ab curl. The best way that I have found is to just put something behind me. So if you have a blanket or a bolster, foam roller, anything like that, go ahead and grab that and bring it out. Now's where I'm gonna say I am sick. So if I sneeze or cough or need to blow my nose, I apologize. But so I'm glad this is virtual. All right. So I'm going to show you my quilt because I feel like this was my favorite at-home prop during the pandemic and still is today. The reason why I love a king-size quilt is because it's nice and squishy. You can fold it any way that you need to have lower support or higher support. So I'm going to start by showing you what it looks like to support your upper ab curl using the quilt. So I have mine folded up. I would say it's a little bit wider than, let's see. It's probably about 15 inches. Not that that matters, but you can fold it over so that you have a nice, basically maybe your hand height tall without squishing it down. Okay. And then you'll put it back behind you. And then you'll sit with your back to it, but give yourself some space. So what we're going to try and do is we're going to try and find the space on our back right below our shoulder blades or maybe your rib cage. And this is going to be different for everybody. And that's one thing that I noticed is, if someone says put it under the tips of your shoulder blades and it doesn't feel quite right, then just adjust, just go ahead and adjust where you are until you feel a little bit more movement. Because really this is a movement practice. So where it is on my body might not be exactly where you want it. So you're going to go ahead and lie back and you're going to play with it a little bit and get it into a spot where it feels like you can be in a curl forward and maybe go back a little bit with your head. Okay. For me, it's a little bit too close. So I'm just going to move it forward, and it is under the tips of my shoulder blades. I'm going to have my knees bent because that gives me some nice stability in my low back. And I'm going to put my hands behind my head. Okay. So find your position just like this, and just sort of hold this position. So when you're in this position, I want you to think that you have some nice equal weight in your feet, and you're maybe doing a little bit of a curl in your pelvis. And what that means is you're just sort of like bringing your butt towards your heels a little bit. So you're just sort of lifting your body a little bit here. And then your hands back behind your head. Just think that maybe you have something underneath your chin. And so this right here is you being in a supportive upper ab curl, because you're curled from your upper body and not your neck. So that's why we want a little space in our neck. So now that you're here, let's go ahead and play with a little bit of extension. So extension just means that we're going to keep our body the way it is from hips down. And then we're just going to extend our back over whatever you're on. So my chin goes up toward the ceiling. I try and keep about the same amount of space between my chin and my chest. And then I'm just going to curl up. When I curl, I'm going to curl from like right here, kind of like, I want to say like right in between my boobs. And then you come up. And then go ahead and go back again. I like to inhale into this extension. And then I like to tuck my chin a little bit and roll myself up in an exhale. So what this is doing is it's giving us a little bit of openness in our chest, and it's bringing our shoulders back. And then when we come forward, we sort of pull our bellies in towards the mat, and that starts to build our core strength here, our ab strength. And then it's also helping us learn how to curl and stay curled. Okay. So next one that we can do in this position is our 100. It's like one of my favorite places to do the 100. So if you just take your hands back from behind your head and bring them straight out, you're still in this curl and it's supportive. And if you have any tension in your neck, the other way that you could do this is you can just move this back for the beginning and maybe just put it underneath your head. So it's not a complete upper ab curl here, but it'll at least give you something to work toward. You can lift up a little bit and then you can rest. So there's nothing wrong with resting. So let me get back in my spot. Okay. Oop. All right. So same exact position with the legs, the feet, the arms are straight out, and we're just going to pump the arms. This is our 100. We're going to inhale for 5 and exhale for 5. So each time I'm doing this, you're going to inhale for 5 and exhale for 5. I'm thinking about my connection to the blanket behind me when I'm in this curl, and I can kind of feel my arms on my back here. And that's where I want to pump my arms from, is on my back. It's sort of like, I really love the idea of it being like your upper ab curl and your arms are sort of working together. So let's go ahead and inhale for 5 and exhale for 5. And then let's go ahead and rest. You can put your hands behind your head and do another little extension over. You can play around with it too. Sometimes I like to move side to side when I'm in my extension. So you can play with that a little bit too. And then curl your chin and come up. The next one that we're going to do just 3 of them just so you kind of get an idea, is you can do a ton of exercises in this supportive curl. And one of them would be the entire stomach series. So let's go ahead and play with crisscross, because I'll just tell you, it wasn't my favorite exercise when I first started. And I think I maybe would have loved it a little bit more, or I know I did love it when I had the foam roller back behind me. So get in the same exact position as you were with your upper ab curl. And I'm just going to switch this out for a bolster so you can see what it would look like without the blanket. So you can use a bolster or blanket or whatever. So I'm going to put my bolster because I don't know if we have any yogis in the house, but right at the tips of my shoulder blades again. And then my legs are going to be in the same exact space. And then I'm going to be pulling myself into a tuck. So my hips are just going to come up a little bit, pull in here. I'm going to have my arms behind my head. And you're going to pick up one leg, just one leg. And then you're going to twist your elbow towards your knee, but it's actually going to reach towards the ceiling. And then you're going to come back to center and put your leg down. And then you're going to pick up your other leg and you're going to cross over and reach this elbow up towards the sky and then come back down and put your leg down. So you're just picking up and reaching and then putting down. So you can do it nice and slow where you pick your leg up and then turn, or you can start putting it together, picking the leg up and reaching your elbow and putting it down, picking the leg up, reach your elbow and come down. So it's nice and supportive. So let's go ahead and do one more on each side, and then we're going to play with some extension. So you'll pick the leg up, you'll go elbow towards knee, and then when you put it down, we're just going to go back into some extension, and then we're going to come back up and twist. This is going to give you some mobility in your spine. It gives you a chance to, I don't know, stretch out your abs a little bit in between, which can sometimes feel nice. So you're just twisting and going into extension, and then twisting and reaching, going into extension. And let's go ahead and finish that last one. And back. And then go ahead and come up. And we'll come to the front here, and then we'll move on to our next category. So the next category that I want to go into is our roll down. So doing our roll up is comes right after the 100. And if you have that old pair of leggings or your TheraBand, now's the time to get that. There are two different ways that are pretty supportive. This is probably my favorite support piece right here. You can also pair it with what you just did with your upper ab curl. So I'm going to leave this here for a couple of roll downs, and then I will remove it so you can see it. So there are lots of ways that you can play with your roll down for support. The other way would be against the wall. So we'll do that one next. And if I forget or something like that, we'll do it later. I'm sure I'll remember. Okay, so you're going to wrap the band around your feet, just like this. And then the nice thing about the band or the leggings is the more support you need, you can choke up on this band, and it'll give you a lot of extra support. Now, if you have a lighter band, I would say when you're first starting out here, go ahead and grab a heavier one, or maybe grab two, just so you have that extra support you need. And also we're going to start with our feet flexed, which just means our heels are pressing in, and I'm trying to pull my toes back towards my shins. And then my knees are going to be bent. Okay, so I'm going to reach up here. And then from here, I'm going to sit super tall. And then I'm going to start bringing my spine down from like the lowest part of my back. Like even my tailbone's going to press in. I'm going to pull my abs in. I'm going to start to come down. And then I'm going to exhale and I'm going to come up. So it's just a half roll back. So it's an excellent way to start. A lot of support here. I'm choked up so much that I can't really go back that much farther. So I'll just do two of those. And then I'm going to release my band a little bit so I can go back farther. And this is where I'm going to use the bolster behind me. So if you have it in the right spot, when you go back, and if you're worried about kind of falling back into the mat, if you have that behind you, then you have something that you can touch and then know that it's time for you to go forward. So I'm just going to loosen up the choke, and then I'm going to keep my knees bent for this. And I'm going to start rolling my spine down. And then I'm just going to touch that bolster. And it's nice. Like you could even take a small break if you wanted to. And then, but you have to get off of it. So you're going to have to curl. Like, so we just did that upper ab curl. You're going to further that upper ab curl to bring yourself up into your roll up and come back up. Okay. If I take more of this away, I don't know how else to say that right now. I have a little bit of a foggy brain, but if you loosen up a little bit more, then you can go into extension as well. So let's play with that. Legs bent. You're going to come back, roll down. You can touch a little bit, and then you can maybe do a little bit of an extension. Then you can tuck your chin, and here you're in your upper ab curl. Push through your upper ab curl. You can pull out on the band to give you some help on the way up and also to strengthen your arms. Okay, let's try one more like that. It's one of my favorite ways to do it. It builds a lot of strength in the body. So you're gonna start taking your back down toward the mat, and you're gonna hopefully reach your bolster. And then you're gonna extend, open up your shoulders. Your heart goes towards the ceiling. And then you're gonna tuck your chin. You're gonna press and you're gonna think, I'm in my upper ab curl. Now I'm gonna pull my band away, reach through my upper ab curl, and come all the way forward and then up. Okay. Then the next thing that you do is you're going to straighten your legs. So we can all try this one, and then you can get rid of the bolster or you can keep it. I have a pad underneath mine, so it doesn't want to move. Okay. So let's go ahead and play. Actually, let's do one with bent legs. If you didn't use the bolster, this is an extra for you. If you had, let's go ahead and do one. If you haven't, let's go ahead and do one without. So I'll choke up a little bit so you can see how much range I have. And we're gonna do the same thing. So I'm sitting nice and tall, and then I'm gonna press my tailbone in, and then I'm gonna bring the rest of my back down, reach until I'm on the mat. And then I'm gonna tuck my chin. I'm gonna be in, here's my upper ab curl, push through the upper ab curl, maybe pull out on the band, flex my feet to help me come up. Okay. I think I started with my legs bent. Oh, anyway, okay, so let's go ahead and do one with legs bent. So let's go ahead and come back. I'm gonna loosen this up a little bit here. So you're sitting nice and tall. You're gonna bring your lowest part of your back down, mid back, upper back, land your head. And then you're gonna tuck your chin. You're gonna find your upper ab curl. When you find your upper ab curl, pull out on your band and push through it and round yourself up. And to finish off your roll up, you can always come all the way over. You can stretch out a little bit, and then you can start your next one. Okay, so that's our supportive roll down. If you want to build some strength, I love this one. And I know that there are some people who take my class, my tower semi-private on Thursday. It's called the Inchworm. Well, I call it the Inchworm, and I pretty much do it all over the place with teaser and roll down and feet and everything. So if you're looking to build a little extra strength, here's something really fun that you can do with your band. So you're gonna roll yourself back to maybe the, like the lowest part of your back, and you're gonna hold. You're gonna inhale, and then on your exhale, you're gonna come down an inch. And then you're gonna inhale, and then you're gonna exhale, come down an inch. And then you're gonna inhale, and then exhale, come down an inch. And then you do one more inhale, and then exhale, come down an inch. And then inhale and exhale all the way down. Okay, and then to come back up, you'll tuck your chin. You're gonna find your upper ab curl, and you're gonna inhale. And on your exhale, you're gonna come just out of that upper ab curl. And then inhale and exhale, come up an inch. And then inhale, exhale up an inch. Inhale, exhale up an inch. And then inhale, and then exhale all the way up. So you can play with that a little bit. It's super fun. I love it. And I'm pretty sure everyone else loves it too when I have them do it. And okay, so let's go ahead and think about the wall. Now, I don't have a solid wall. This is not a solid wall, so I won't put my feet against it. But I do want everyone to go ahead and try to put their feet against the wall. Could maybe put my bolster up there. So go ahead and try and find a wall if you have it. Otherwise, you can always try it later because you're gonna have the replay. This will probably not work. but I'll just act like I'm doing it. Okay, so when you put your feet against the wall, you can do it with your legs bent, and you can hold on here, pressing your feet in as you come back, and then as you come up. Okay, so go ahead and try that. It's hard for me to time it since I'm not actually doing it, but you're gonna press your feet into that wall, and you're gonna round yourself halfway back, and then you're gonna exhale and come back up. And then you can work on maybe pressing your feet in. I still like a little bit of bend in my legs when I'm gonna do the full roll down, but hands can be reaching, or you can still have them back behind, and you're just gonna bring your spine down slowly to the mat. And then you can bring your arms up overhead. And then you bring your arms up, your chin comes up, find that upper ab curl, and then push through your upper ab curl and come forward. And then you can pulse a little bit here, and then you can go into your next one. So, you know, on the video, when you see the replay, you'll probably see as I went down, my feet went away from the wall. So that's why I would say, go ahead and maybe start with your legs bent, so that when you push away, you can push your feet in, so that when your legs straighten, you still have that contact. And, you know, if you get down to the bottom and your feet have moved away, just scoot yourself forward so that your feet can touch the wall, and then start your roll up. So, okay. So that's our roll down. And then the next one's my absolute favorite one. And I'll just tell you a quick story after I tell you what it is. So it's called find your best seated position is what I'm calling it. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna, you know, there are three main exercises in the mat work where you have to sit super tall and your legs are out in front of you. It's our spine stretch, our saw, and then our spine twist. And when I first started, I had a really hard time sitting straight up. So when my legs were out in front of me, I was more here because the back of my legs were tight, the front of my legs were tight. It was super uncomfortable to do those exercises, which now I think feel absolutely amazing. So what I learned is that I should just sit on something. So there are three things that you can do. You can sit on top of something. You can take your legs wider if it's if your legs are supposed to be wide in that particular exercise, or you can bend your legs, or you can do basically all three of those at the same time. So go ahead and grab your quilt or a bolster, or yoga blocks are good. If I do yoga blocks, I need two because my booty does not fit on one block. So I'll go ahead and put my quilt here and we'll play with that. So we're gonna play with spine stretch, saw, and spine twist. And the first thing you're gonna do is you're just going to sit up on top of your prop, whatever prop you have, okay? And as soon as you sit up there, or at least for me, it's relieving everything in the back of my body, and also makes me feel really nice up front. I sit a lot at work. And then it gives me the opportunity to just open up my chest and sit nice and tall. Okay. And so when I'm here, sometimes I also have to like move a little bit of tissue around so that I can feel my butt on my prop. Okay, so when you're here and when you're extended, the only thing that I want you to remember is to not press down with your knees. You just don't want to hyperextend your knees. So that's why bending your legs is always a good option, because it relieves your body a little bit more, but it also would protect your knees, and it helps you even sit a little bit straighter. And then the next one is that you can go wider. Like in some of these exercises, I was like, everybody's like super wide here. It doesn't have to be, mat width. So go ahead and play with this. Let's play with the first one, which is just going to be maybe mat width with bent legs. Okay. So we're going to do spine stretch. So let's go ahead, bring the arms out nice and wide. Okay. And you're going to start at the very, very top of your head, and you're going to tuck your chin, and you're going to start rolling down through the top of your spine. You're going to pull your belly button back towards your back as you come forward into this stretch. And then as you come up, you're going to roll your back up straight, all the way tall. Now, if you remember the exercise we just did, a roll up, where we started by bringing the lowest part of our back down, so we were nice and straight. That's just what we did on the way up. So always think about like, oh, okay, like if I was lying on the mat when I'm coming up, I'm basically doing my roll up. So you can think that you're stacked up against the wall. You can also sit against the wall. So you're going to tuck your chin. You're going to do a nice big, do a nice big inhale. And then you're going to tuck your chin, and you're going to start articulating your spine down. You're going to press your feet in. You're going to think about pulling your abs back towards your spine. And then when you can't inhale anymore, you need to start exhaling. Bring your back up towards that wall that I was talking about, that invisible wall, and stack your head up nice and tall. Okay. So that's our spine stretch forward. Now you can do it with the bent legs. You can go wider. Let's go ahead and just pick one. I will go ahead and come off of this so you can see what it's like. Okay. Okay. So for me, just being here, move a little tissue here so that I can feel my butt. Feeling pretty good today. That's another thing, like your body's going to feel different every day. So you might need to use, one prop one day, you might not need to use it the next. So let's go ahead, pick your next position, bent leg, wider leg. You can try it not sitting on something if you want to. I'm going to go wider legs with a little bit of a bend, because for me, that's feeling pretty comfortable. I do feel a little something up here. So let's all just give it a try. So you're going to do a nice big inhale. And then you're going to tuck your chin. You're going to start rolling your spine down. Nice big exhale. And then you're going to start pulling the lowest part of your spine back to stack it up nice and straight. Inhaling super, super tall. And then exhale. Go into your next one. Roll that spine down. And then when you can't exhale anymore, inhale. And bring yourself up nice and tall. Good. And you can play around with any of those positions that you want to. The next one that we'll go into is saw. We're going to do saw really quick here. I'm totally going to grab something. Okay. So I'm going to sit back up on here. And then I'm going to go wide leg. And I would say when you have your quilt, don't struggle with the, the unevenness. Go ahead and get it nice and flat, because otherwise it always feels like you're going to tip one way or another. So go ahead and take the time to always refold that quilt. I know there's been a couple of times where I've gone over and it's been a little too low and I've gone a little too far. So, okay, let's go ahead. You'll bring your arms out nice and straight from your shoulders. Okay. Your legs are nice and wide, so you can have them bent. You can have them wide. You're sitting on something which feels good. You're going to first twist towards one way, and then you're going to continue forward and stretch your front hand toward your little toe. Okay. Like I'm more like on the inside of my big toe. Totally fine. And then you're going to articulate yourself back up and turn nice and straight. And then you're going to start again. So you're going to inhale, and then you're going to exhale to stretch nice and long. Your arms are pulling away from each other. And then you're going to inhale to stack nice and tall here. Okay, so you're going to twist and reach. backhand up towards the ceiling, and then you're gonna stack back up and twist to center. So we'll do one more like this where you twist and reach forward, and then you're gonna come back up and to center. So you can go ahead and play a little bit with that seated position. Okay. Next one's also my favorite. Totally didn't tell you this story. My story is that anytime I had a mat class, it didn't matter which room I was in, I would run into the big room at River City Pilates and grab a barrel and like take it with me like it was my baby, so that I could always have something to sit on during mat class. So I was always carrying that thing around. It was like my favorite prop. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about what we do when our legs are up in space. So this next one is us finding support when our legs are up above us. Okay, there are a couple different options that I really like. One is the resistance band or old pair of leggings, and then putting something underneath the lowest part of your back. So let's go ahead and start with the resistance band. Excuse me. And you're gonna go ahead, bring yourself down to the mat. See, we just all did another roll up. And then go ahead and take your resistance band and place it over one foot. Your other leg can be bent or straight, whatever's comfortable for you. When I first started, I had my leg bent. That actually gave me a little support in my low back. And also it made me feel like I was getting a little bit stronger in this standing leg too, by like pressing it in. So wherever your resistance band you just want to make sure that it is, you're able to pull it so that your elbows are down on the mat. Okay, so we're not going to do too many of these, but what I want to talk about here is that if you have any low back pain or knee pain, especially, just being in this position and doing a stretch, which would be walking your hand up, flexing your leg and pulling your leg backward to get this back of the leg stretch here, your hamstring. That's something that I highly recommend you do every single time you do a single leg circle, or just in general, and you can kind of go out to the side and across. So if you do have low back and knee stuff, it would be perfect for you to go ahead and do those stretches. Just incorporate them, because it's really worth it to get that stretch. A lot of our pain comes from hamstring, just not being stretched enough. Okay, so our single leg circle, you're just gonna point your foot here, and you're gonna take your leg toward the center of the body. You're gonna take it away from you, and you're gonna circle it around to the outside and come back to the center. Okay, so you can choke up as much as you need to give yourself support when you're doing this nice little circle here. Let's do 3, and then you switch and you go outside and around. But I'm gonna take my leg straight, and my leg that's on the ground is gonna be flexed. I'm gonna go to the outside now, so we can all do that. You can start working on like your length and your range. When you have this band, it's super supportive. So I want everyone to have a chance to have that range to try. Okay. And if you need to choke up a little bit more, I would say just go ahead and choke up a little bit more. I'm a little light here. The other thing that I like to do sometimes is, my hands used to get tired when I first started doing this, so I would start wrapping them, or you can knot the ends as well. Another exercise that I recommend doing for just, strengthening the knee is just take a straight leg down. Maybe you tap your heel and then you bring it back up. When you bring it back up, really work on that up part, and then see if you can get that stretch in your leg, and then straight leg press down and then come back up. Okay. So this is our nice supportive way. There are some other exercises like corkscrew where both legs go in, where this is really nice for us as well. because, you know, we're able to get a little bit of range, but we have that support. So we're not worried so much about our legs falling away or, you know, us sort of arching in our back here. But corkscrew, that's the one that we're going to do next. I would like everybody to go ahead and grab their bolster or their blanket. Besides the resistance band, the other thing that I really love when you have your legs up in space is to put something underneath your back, like I said earlier. So let's go ahead and I'm going to move this down so it's in a good spot so you can see me. Okay, let's see. So to get into this one, I always like to sit a little bit in front of it, and then I'm doing another half roll back here, roll up, and then bring your back down to the mat. So when your back's down to the mat, you want to have your prop so that it's on, it's called your sacrum, but it's like the big bone that's like right across, right above your tailbone. So your low back, you just want to feel supported so that you're in almost a little bit of a tuck here. Okay, so you have like a nice, I would say nice scoop, but I have a belly, so I don't really like scoop or anything like that. So the legs are up in space. If anybody, just go ahead and sit here real quick for like a breath and just kind of feel what it feels like to hold your legs up. I'll tell you, it's definitely much easier than, you know, if your bottom was already on the mat here. So from this position, we'll just do a little bit of a corkscrew. We'll just do maybe 2 each way. It's like your single leg circle that we did before, except for it's both legs. So we're gonna reach our legs over to the right, and then we're gonna just press the legs away, and we're making sure that those toes stay. We come over to the left, and then we bring our toes back to the center. And then we go left, and then we go away, and we circle. We come to the right, and then center. And let's go one more time, because I can't remember if that was 2 or not. So we go around, and toes come center, and then we go left and away and back to center. Good. And then you can bend the knees in. The other thing that's kind of nice to do here to play with, which will get you some strong in the back of your legs and gets you really working your abdominal engagement, is just some knee folds. So when your knees are here, you just want to think about the shape of your back being nice and round in your low back. You want to try and keep that shape. You're just going to dip your toes away only enough that your back doesn't change, and then you're going to pull the legs back in. So this is just our knee fold. So our toes go away from us. We pull our bellies in so that our back doesn't change, and then we exhale and bring our legs back to us. Let's go ahead and do one more of those. Inhale to press away, and then exhale to pull back in. Good. And then to get out, I like to just lift my butt and push it away and then roll up. Okay. So that one is how we get to support our legs when our legs are up in space. So resistance bands, you could use a towel. The towel isn't as stretchy, so I definitely like the resistance band better. And then putting our legs up on something. And I totally need this again. So the next one is finding mobility, and my AirPod just died. Finding mobility when we're bridging. So when we're bridging, there's usually a lot of space. For some of us, like back behind, to like really feel, I don't want to say successful, because I think that some of us think like we have to be so high in order to be successful, and that's not really true. Like the goal is really like, can you lengthen out your body, and can you like press into those legs and just, you know, lift as high as you can lift. So one of the things that I really love is putting my feet on something when I'm bridging. And when you do that, you are already setting yourself up for feeling a little bit more mobility because you're going to be high, your feet are going to be higher. So as soon as you start lifting, you're gonna feel like you have more range. So let's go ahead and play with this. I want you to go ahead and put your blanket or your bolster. I might go ahead and do the bolster because I know it's the same width across here. And you're gonna put your feet on top of it and you're gonna lay back. And once you're there, I want you to scoot your butt toward your prop and then put your feet on top of your prop. Okay, when you're doing this one, make sure that you don't have something that might slip. You might need to put like a pad, or you might need to put this against a wall so that when you press up, it doesn't slide out. So for this one, you're gonna have nice open shoulders. You're gonna press your arms into the mat, and then your feet are gonna be on top of your prop here. And you're gonna be about hip width, and you're really gonna try and press your pinky toe, your big toe, and your heel equally into your prop. Now, if you have a blanket or something like that, it's gonna be a little bit harder to feel it, but just visualize it and call it good. Okay, from here, we'll just start with like a pelvic tuck, right? So I'm just gonna lift my tailbone up towards the sky, and then I'm gonna come back to neutral, which means I'm not doing anything with my pelvis. And then I'm gonna press my tailbone into the mat. So I'm gonna stretch and I'm gonna get what feels like some space underneath myself. I don't actually have any space back there because my body. And then come back to neutral. And then I'm gonna tuck. So I'm gonna be pressing my low back into the mat as my tailbone lifts towards the ceiling. And then back to neutral, okay? So when we're bridging, we're basically taking that tuck. So we're pressing our low back into the mat first before we lift it up off the mat. So hands are gonna be into the mat. We're gonna build some back strength by pressing those arms in. Top of our head's gonna be pressed in. We've got some space in our neck. We're gonna press through those feet. We're gonna tuck our pelvis and we're gonna lift our body up off the mat, okay? And here, when you're up, you're thinking the top of your head is in the mat and your shoulders are in the mat, like a little tripod. So shoulder, shoulder, back of head, okay? And then you're gonna try and keep your hips as high as they can, and you're gonna try and get your ribs down first, and then your mid back, and then you're gonna continue to curl so that when your low back hits the mat, you're in that tuck. And then you're gonna go ahead and press your tailbone into neutral and then into the mat to arch it away. And then go ahead and come back to neutral. And the reason we're doing the arch away and we're doing the tuck, especially at first, is because if you have any low back stuff going on, it's actually really nice to be able to stretch the back both ways by tucking and arching the pelvis. So let's go ahead and do one more. So you're just gonna tuck, you're gonna press the arms in, you're gonna press those feet in. And then when you get to that high position, remember, think that you have like a ball between your chin and your chest. And if you have a bigger chest and it's like in your chin, that's fine. It happens. And then your head and your shoulder are gonna be on the mat. And then you're gonna go ahead and come down. So ribs come down, mid back comes down, low back comes down. So you're in that tuck. And then you come to neutral, and then just go ahead and stretch into that arch position. And then you can come back to neutral. So the nice thing about being able to lift a little bit higher, I'll just show you this and you can try it on your own because I'm pretty sure we're running out of time. When you come up into your bridge, then you can start working on things like, could I just pick up a leg and put it down and like lift my pelvis a little bit more? And could I lift my other leg, bring it down and lift it a little bit more? Because you have more space here than if you were on the regular mat. So if I move this out of the way and kick that other thing around, as I come up, I'm not feeling like there's as much space here. So I'm feeling like as soon as I bring a leg up, that I'm dipping too low, which again, is fine because, you know, we know how to find the work, but just sometimes it's nicer to have a little bit more mobility. So the higher your legs are, the higher on your spine you can actually get up into that bridge, and then you can really work on bringing yourself down. So so that's super fun. I love that. The other things that I wanted to talk about was finding connection and alignment and space and comfort. And let's see, we're really close to time, but I really want to go over these really quickly. So finding connection and alignment. So this is when we just did the bridge, sometimes it's hard for us to find the connection to lift up because, you know, I don't know, like there's a lot of different reasons. Let's just say that. But sometimes if you just had a ball that you could put in between your legs, that will give you something to press into and connect to so that you're able to lift up. So that's why I said if you had a ball, you can also do it with a brick. If you have a thicker brick, it's better. The ball is nice because it's squishy. You know, having the brick for me, like if you have a little bit of thicker thighs or a little bit of a thicker calf, this might not be enough. So that's why I kind of like the ball. So just play with that. If you have one, is just put your ball in between your knees and try and do even like the tuck and arch. So actively press into the ball and then do your tuck and arch. So this can build a lot of like really good connection. The other thing that you can start to do if you need to work on maybe, you know, like your low back's hurting or your knees are hurting, then if you do pulses with the ball, you can start gaining some strength here. So you could go up into your bridge and you could do your pulses, and you can absolutely do this one. And then you press in as you come down. You can absolutely do this one when your feet are up on top of something. It's still safe because you just have that connection. So you can also put it in between your ankles. If your feet are against a wall, or if you don't have a wall, you can do your roll down by pressing in here and rolling back and forward. So those are just some simple ways that you can maybe find some connection. If you're thinking like, one part of my body doesn't seem to be doing what I want in an exercise, you should email me and ask me about it. You know, we'll send out my email. So I'm only here to like help you make your practice feel better so that you keep doing it, right? The space and the comfort piece. So I want to touch on this briefly. Side legs. Here's the thing about side legs is that I think we just need to be comfortable. And part of it is I always felt like really, I don't know, like really close and squishy. I don't know how to describe the feeling. I didn't like it. That's how I describe it. So when you're doing your side legs, and I always was able to like grab a block or something, ball or block. Block actually for this one is a little bit better, but just being able to press into something in front of you, doesn't matter what it is really good because you can open up your chest a little bit more. So never be afraid to grab something and press into it. Like even putting a block even a little bit higher to do some of your side leg stuff is really good work. So that would be comfort in front of the body. The other last thing that I wanted to do before I take any questions would be when you're on your belly, that's also sort of a comfort. I feel like I need some space type of thing. You can use a ball, you can use a bolster, a foam roller. My favorite thing to do here is you're lying on your belly, is to just have something that you can press into out in front of you so that when you reach up, you can press a little bit, and it's, again, something higher, just like with the legs, so that you can get a little bit more reach here, okay? Especially if you're a bigger body that has a bigger chest, you might not feel like you're lifting off as much. So having something out in front of you to help you push up is really good. The other thing that it does is I like to focus a lot with upper back strength. So pressing into something out there and lifting the chest will help you work on some of those back muscles too. Yeah, I think maybe we take any questions if anybody has any questions. Carrie helped me make a really